All right. Hello. Can you hear me? All right. This is a tarot reading regarding New Zealand political parties and their characters, the characters of the political parties and their leaders. So, it's going to be interesting. The other thing that is specific to this tarot reading is I'm going to be using ChatGPT to give its interpretation of the cards that I pull, just so there's a extra level of objectivity, so that I don't include my own biases. Having said that, I have voted for many different parties over the years. I try to look at the elections quite objectively, but that doesn't preclude me to my own biases, obviously. Anyway, we will see what comes out of this. It's really purely for entertainment purposes and interest. So here we go. Firstly, let's pull a card, should I say, for the Labour Party, the New Zealand Labour Party. I hope you can hear me. I'm just going to turn that up a little bit. Hopefully that's loud enough. Looks like it's coming through. All right, so here is a card for the character of the New Zealand Labour Party. Okay, like a card for the character of the New Zealand Labour Party, please. Okay, the card we got is the Hermit in reverse. Okay, and now I will pull a card for a New Zealand Labour Party leader, Mr. Chris Hipkins. What is the character of Chris Hipkins, please? And for Chris Hipkins, I got the Tower in reverse. Okay, so let's ask ChatGPT for these interpretations. So the Hermit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, just working out a prompt. I pulled a card. I pulled a tarot card for the character of a political party and got the Hermit reversed. Please interpret. Here we go. All right, here we go. The character of a political party. So, in tarot, the Hermit card typically represents introspection, solitude, and inner guidance. When upright, when reversed, it can suggest a few interpretations for a political party. Firstly, lack of introspection. The reversed Hermit may indicate that the political party is not taking the time for self-reflection or internal evaluation. They might be rushing into decisions without considering their core values or the consequences. Secondly, resistance to change. It could signify a reluctance to adapt or evolve their policies and strategies. The party might be stuck in its ways or unwilling to embrace new perspectives. Thirdly, isolation from supporters. Reversed, the Hermit may imply that the party is becoming disconnected from its base or supporters. They may not be effectively communicating with their constituents or addressing their concerns. Fourthly, need for external guidance. Alternatively, it could suggest that the party is seeking external advice or influence rather than relying on its own principles. Okay, that's all very interesting, I have to say, in regards to the Labour Party. I was going to offer that sums up a lot of things about the Labour Party, I would think, at this time, potentially, without putting my own spin on it. But yeah, the Hermit in reverse, I would say that, the Hermit is a card that is lost, that's about wisdom. So in reverse, it means there's a challenge. It's about wisdom and introspection. And yeah, like it says, it's about, because it's in reverse, there's a challenge, or that introspection has gone upside down. And so, like it's talking about, it's basically saying that they're failing to look at themselves. It's also could suggest that they're coming out of loneliness. I think also they've had a run where they've been unchecked because they've had such a huge majority in Parliament that they haven't had to look at themselves, because they've been able to pass laws willy-nilly somewhat without, because they've had a mandate to do that, as a sense. So they've sort of gone unchecked. And now, as the election's coming up, they are seeing how much those policies have actually get the interpretation of Chris Hipkins. So that was very fascinating, I thought. Got the Tower reversed. These interprets. Okay, so this is what it says about the character of Chris Hipkins. The Tower card in tarot usually represents sudden upheaval, chaos, or significant disruption when upright. When reversed, it may indicate a few interpretations for a political figure. 1. Avoiding catastrophe. The reversed Tower suggests that the political figure might be successfully avoiding a major crisis or disaster. They may have taken steps to prevent or mitigate a potentially damaging situation. It could also represent 2, a resistance to change. It could imply that the figure is resistant to necessary changes or reforms. They might be clinging to the status quo, even as it's not in the best interests of their constituents. 3, gradual transformation. Reverse the Tower can also suggest that the political figure is undergoing a slow and controlled transformation instead of a sudden and destructive one. They may be making calculated adjustments to their approach or policies. 4, hesitation to confront issues. It may indicate a reluctance to address underlying problems or issues within their political sphere. The figure might be avoiding necessary confrontations or tough decisions. Well, that's again interesting. They're quite similar in that respect. There's some similarities between those two cards, and as the leader of the Labour Party, you'd expect the Labour Party to have some of that as well. But there's some positives as well, that he might be going through a gradual transformation, making calculated adjustments to their approach, which I do see that Chris Hipkins has been doing since Jacinda left the party. I think he has been making some adjustments to the Labour Party's approach, or the Labour Party in general has. Avoiding catastrophe. He might be successfully avoiding a major crisis or disaster. Taking steps to prevent mitigate a potentially damaging situation. So yeah, that's very interesting. That's Chris Hipkins and the Labour Party. All right. Next, we are going to pull 2 cards for the National Party and Chris Luxon. So, what is the character of the National Party, please? Okay, we got the 7 of Wands upright. And what is the character of Christopher Luxon, the leader of the National Party? What is the character of Chris Luxon? Right, the King of Swords. That suggests, I would say, yeah, I won't bring my interpretations in because I might have a bit of a bias there. Okay, so firstly, for the interpretation of the National Party, the character of the National Party. I'm just trying to copy the last one so I can make it a little bit easier. Copy and paste. Right, I pulled a card for the character of the political party and got the 7 of Wands upright. Please interpret. Okay, so this is what it says about the character of the National Party. The 7 of Wands in tarot typically signifies a situation where someone is defending their position, principles, or territory against challenges and competition. When upright and applied to a political party, it suggests the following interpretations. 1, defending their platform. The political party represented by the cards is likely in a position where they are standing firm in defense of their political platform, beliefs, and values. They may be facing opposition or criticism, but are determined to maintain their stance. Well, I think that's very true in the sense that they are coming under a lot of attack for their tax policy at the moment regarding their fiscal holes in that policy and their housing policy, letting foreign buyers back into New Zealand. Secondly, over obstacles. This card can indicate that the party is actively working to overcome obstacles and challenges on their path. They are willing to put in the effort to succeed despite the opposition they may encounter. 3, assertiveness. The 7 of Wands can also represent a party that is assertive in promoting their agenda and fighting for their policies. They're not afraid to take a stand and make their voices heard. I'd say that be true. 4thly, leadership under pressure. It may suggest that the party is demonstrating strong leadership qualities during a challenging period. They're taking charge and showing resilience in the face of adversity. Well, there you go. Overall, the 7 of Wands suggests a political party that is determined, assertive, and willing to defend their position, even when faced with opposition or competition. However, the specific context and circumstances should be considered for a more precise interpretation. So it doesn't say whether that position is necessarily good or bad, but they're willing to defend their position. So they're very passionate about their position. We've seen Nicola Willis, the National Party finance minister, defending her position and agreeing to resign should her tax policy fail. So now we have an interpretation of the leader, the character of the leader of the National Party. So here we go. Just going to copy that in and paste. Got the King of Swords, which usually indicates a man sort of ruthless for the truth and a good communicator, with strong boundaries. So let's see what ChatGPT says about him. The King of Swords in tarot represents a figure who embodies qualities such as intelligence, authority, objectivity, and rationality. When this card appears in a reading for a political figure, it can suggest the following interpretations. Strong leadership. The King of Swords signifies the political figure who is known for their strong and authoritative leadership. They make decisions based on reason and logic rather than emotions. Intellectual prowess. This card indicates that the political figure is highly intelligent and knowledgeable. They are likely well-versed in matters of law, policy, and governance. Fair and just. The King of Swords represents a commitment to fairness and justice. This political figure is expected to uphold the rule of law and make impartial decisions. For strategic thinking, this card suggests that the figure excels in strategic thinking and planning. They are adept at navigating complex political landscapes and making calculated moves. Decisiveness. The King of Swords implies that the political figure is decisive and not easily swayed by external influences. They are known for their ability to make tough choices when necessary. 6, legal matters. In some cases, the card may indicate a political figure who has a background in law, was deeply involved in legal or judicial matters. It's important to remember that tarot card interpretations can be influenced by the context of the reading and the specific circumstances surrounding the reading and political figure. Nevertheless, the King of Swords generally represents a figure of authority and intellect in the political realm. I guess that bodes quite well for Christopher Luxon if he is going to be our next Prime Minister, potentially. Fair and just, intellectual prowess, strong leadership, strategic thinking, decisiveness, and a legal kind of background. I wonder if he's an air sign. Would be interesting to look up. Actually, I'll just do that now because usually the King of Swords represents an air sign. I go by the Vedic signs, though, of course. What is Chris Luxon's birthday? 19th July 1970. In the Vedic signs, I would think that he would actually be a Cancer in that sense, but he might have an air sign as an ascendant. That's something I would have to look at more deeply anyway. Interesting, though. It's possible he's quite near the cusp that he could be a Gemini, but it looks more likely that he'd be a Cancer. I'd have to go into more detail. That would take a lot more time. So on to our next political figure. We're going to have a look at the character of the ACT Party. The character of the ACT Party, please. The Star. Interesting. And the character of David Seymour, please. What is the character of David Seymour? Temperance in reversed. Someone who's slightly out of balance, perhaps. Let's have a look. The Star, though, is an interesting card. Okay, here we go. So I pulled it to political party and got the Star. Please interpret. Okay, so for the character of the ACT Party, the Star card is a highly positive and hopeful card, often associated with inspiration, healing, and renewal. When it appears in a reading for a political party, it can suggest the following interpretations: inspiration and hope. The star card indicates that the political party is offering a sense of inspiration and hope to its supporters. They may be promoting a vision of the future that resonates with people and gives them optimism, idealism, and vision. This card suggests that the party is guided by a clear and noble vision for the betterment of society. They may prioritize ideals such as equality, justice, and progress. Healing divisions. The star card can also symbolize efforts to heal divisions within the party or society. The party may be working towards unity and reconciliation. For public support, it implies that the party enjoys strong public support and is seen as a source of positive change. People believe in their ability to make a difference. 5, transparency and honesty. The star card often represents transparency and honesty in politics. The party may be known for its integrity and commitment to open and ethical governance. Overall, the appearance of the star card suggests that the political party is aligned with positive values, aspirations, and public goodwill. They may be seen as a beacon of hope and inspiration in the political landscape. However, the specific context and circumstances surrounding the party should be considered for a more precise interpretation. Okay, so yeah, it's interesting because I have my own biases in this respect, so it's interesting having a look at these readings. I often look at all the parties across the spectrum and see that all of them have some good policies and some that I disagree with, and some that are more important to me, and but some that are really put me off voting for them as well. So anyway, that's interesting regarding the ACT Party: inspiration and hope, idealism and vision. I would say that's true to its supporters anyway. Equality, justice, and progress, healing divisions. I'm not entirely sure about that. Yes and no. I mean, you could say in the same sense that, David Seymour's been... well, that's a contentious issue, of course, the racial divide with the Three Waters and things like that, which has been a controversial policy, to say the least. So you could see on one side as the ACT's attempt to heal those divisions or that have been created, or to the people that it is potentially politically incorrect. But it just depends what kind of where you're coming from in that. Public support, they do enjoy strong public support, probably more than they have had ever in the past. And transparency and honesty. I saw him responding to some allegations about people leaving his party. The whole he's able to laugh at himself. I saw him in the finance debate, and he was actually quite humorous. Interesting in that respect. But this is for the party overall, not necessarily David Seymour. But it's saying that it's a party that's known for its integrity and ethical governance. Well, that remains to be seen, I suppose. But now I'm going to look at David Seymour. Got the political... that's right. I got temperance reversed. Okay, so this is ChatGPT's interpretation of the card I pulled for David Seymour, the leader of the ACT Party. When the Temperance card appears reversed in a tarot reading for a political figure, it can suggest several possible interpretations. One, lack of balance, which I mentioned earlier. The reverse Temperance card may indicate that the political figure is struggling to find a balanced approach to their leadership or decision making. They might be inclined towards extremes or not effectively harmonizing conflicting interests. And I'd say there is a little bit of that in David Seymour. Impatience, potentially. This card can signify impatience or a tendency to rush into actions without considering the long-term consequences. The political figure may be pushing for quick results at the expense of careful planning. There are times when he does say things that rattle certain people, and he can be quite outspoken, and that can put some people off. So I'd say that is true to some degree. Disharmony or conflict. Reverse Temperance can suggest that the figure is involved in conflicts or disputes within the political arena. They may have difficulty mediating disagreements or finding common ground. You can see that he's ruled out working with Winston Peters, who a national might have to work with in order to form a government. Potentially, you've also seen him having disagreements with parties on the other side of the political spectrum, but he's also potentially said that he might only support the national government in a supply arrangement and stay outside of actual either a coalition arrangement or confidence and supply arrangements. So that's interesting. In moderation, it may imply that the political figure is not exercising moderation or self-control in their actions or statements. They could be prone to impulsive behaviors that disrupt their political agenda. Well, that's just what I said earlier too. Failure to adapt. The reverse Temperance card can indicate resistance to adapting to changing circumstances or political challenges. The figure might be rigid in their views or strategies. It is important to remember, so this card serves as a reflection of potential challenges or imbalances in their political career. So that's overall. Like I say, these cards I'm pulling are completely at random. I'm asking the field for the right card for that party and getting a trying to get an objective approach from ChatGPT. So to me, the tarot cards don't lie. So I think you'll see at least some truth in a lot of these. And my idea is to get an objective version, because we all have political biases, personal biases about people we don't like. So this is trying to take the covers off and basically look at these people and these parties with both a spiritual approach using the cards and a objective approach using ChatGPT. So interesting. Here we go. So the next one we're going to do is look at the Green Party. What is the character of the Greens, please? The character of the Greens. Strength, upright, and the character, please, of James Shaw, please. Character of James Shaw. The Three of Wands. Now, I believe the Greens have a co-leader as well. Marama Davison, is it? Green Party co-leaders. Co-leaders. So I just want to get that correct. Marama Davison, yeah. Okay, so James Shaw is the Three of Wands. What is the character, please, of Marama Davidson? For Ten of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, let's have a look at these interpretations. The Strength card looks good. Give me a second while I just copy and paste. Copy. Okay. Character of the political party, and got the Strength card upright. Okay. 1 second. Strength upright. Please interpret. Okay, so this is what it says about the greens with the Strength card upright. When the Strength card appears upright in tarot reading for a political party, it often resembles several positive attributes and characteristics associated with the party's approach influence. Number 1, resilience and courage. The Strength card suggests that the political party possesses the resilience and courage to overcome challenges and obstacles in pursuit of their goals and ideals. 2, diplomacy and persuasion. This card signifies that the party has the ability to persuade and influence others through diplomacy and constructive communication rather than through force or aggression. It's very interesting. Moral fortitude. It implies that the party adheres to a set of strong moral values and principles, guiding their actions with integrity and ethical standards. 4, unity and cohesion. Strength often indicates that the party is internally united and cohesive, with its members working together harmoniously to achieve common objectives. Empathy and compassion. This card may represent a political party that emphasizes empathy and compassion in its policies and actions, demonstrating a commitment to the well-being of its constituents. Effective leadership. Strength can also indicate that the party is led by individuals who display strong and compassionate leadership qualities, able to navigate complex political landscapes with grace. Overall, the Strength card in this context suggests that the political party possesses the inner strength, resilience, and moral character necessary to make a positive impact in the political arena. It's a card that reflects the party's ability to influence through diplomacy and the power of their convictions. Very interesting. Again, you see, the interesting thing about this is that it's providing you with positive things about parties that are on opposite sides of the political spectrum. So we often look at parties in terms of our left-right leanings, and we get into this notion of hating parties who are on the opposite side of the political spectrum. But the reality is all the parties do have, if you look at all their policies, you'd probably likely find some that you actually agree with. And it's just that we've become so entrenched in these political parties. The other thing is, in MMP, the government consists of a variety of parties sometimes that make up the government, not just one or two. In the case of Labour, they've had a majority in the last election, which has enabled them to pass many laws. And so they haven't had a check on them from other smaller parties. Usually in MMP, that's not necessarily the case. And often there are a lot of parties that bring good things and not so good things to the table. But the media tend to often put a spotlight on a lot of the negative things, where there might be a lot of good things happening behind the scenes, and we don't always know which party is passing which policies. And sometimes there are even agreements that happen across this political spectrum in terms of a vote on a specific bill, for example. Yet often it's the government that passed that, when that law was passed, that are held responsible for it. So yeah, anyway, the Greens obviously have been part of the last government, but not in just in a sort of outside role, because they Labour got a majority. So anyway, that's the Greens' strength card: diplomacy and persuasion, resilience and courage, moral fortitude, unity and cohesion, empathy and compassion, and effective leadership. Looks pretty good on the surface of things. And I'd say, looking at James Shaw and some of the debates, he does have a very kind of pragmatic approach to things. He doesn't get too worked up like some of the other politicians. He's quite sort of objective, yet he has he had a lot of sort of ideas that he wanted to espouse. So anyway, let's have a look at James Shaw next, which was the Three of Wands, which is an interesting card to pull. So let's have a look. Pulled a card for the tarot political figure, and got the Three of Wands upright. Okay, so James Shaw. The Three of Wands in tarot often symbolizes a sense of expansion, vision, and anticipation of future possibilities. When this card appears in a reading for a political figure, it can suggest several interpretations. One, forward thinking and planning. Three of Wands indicates that the political figure is forward thinking and has a strategic vision and preparing for what lies ahead in their political career or agenda. Two, ambition and leadership. This card suggests that the figure has ambitious goals and is willing to take a leadership role in pursuing them. They are looking beyond the present and aiming for greater influence or impact. Interesting. International or broader perspectives. The Three of Wands can symbolize a political figure who is interested in international affairs or has a broader perspective on global issues. They may be involved in diplomacy or trade agreements. Four, collaboration and partnerships may imply that the figure is open to collaborating with others to achieve their goals. They're actively seeking partnership or alliances to expand their influence. Well, they have to if they're the Greens party naturally, because they haven't got enough to form a government themselves. Waiting for results. On a cautionary note, this card can also suggest the political figure is in a phase of waiting for the results of their efforts to manifest. They have taken initial steps and are now patiently waiting outcomes. In essence, the Three of Wands suggesting that the political figure is forward-looking, ambitious, and actively engaged in planning and preparing for the future. They are likely focused on expanding their influence and open to collaboration and partnerships to achieve their objectives. The specific context of the reading and the political figure's circumstance will provide more precise insights. What's interesting sort of suggests that maybe he's looking at his political career as a stepping stone to wider international, global ambitions, but also forward thinking and planning, open to be both within the Green Party being a co-leader, but also in terms of within government, so trying to get their policies through by collaborating with other parties in that sense. Aim for Marama Davison, who I haven't seen so much of myself. So it'll be interesting to get what it says on her. 10 of Pentacles in reverse. Please interpret. Oops. 10. Yes, it has. Okay, so the character of Marama Davidson. The 10 of Pentacles, when upright in tarot, typically represents financial security, wealth, and a strong family or community foundation. When reversed in a reading for a political figure, it can suggest several interpretations. 1. Financial challenges. The reversal of the 10 of Pentacles may indicate financial instability or difficulties faced by the political figure. They might be grappling with economic issues or struggling to maintain a lack of support from their community or constituents. They may be struggling to connect with or gain the trust of the people they serve. Well, that's interesting. I'm not sure how much, whether she the only one who won their electorate seat in the Green Party. Erosion of traditional values. In some cases, this reversal of this card might signify a departure from traditional values or principles within the political figure's platform. There could be conflicts, shifts in their political ideology. 4. Family or personal issues. The 10 of Pentacles reversed may also point to personal or family-related challenges affecting the political figure's career. These issues could be impacting their ability to focus on their political responsibilities. Resource mismanagement. It could imply that the political figure is facing criticism or scrutiny for the mismanagement of public resources or financial matters. And 6. Economic disparities. The card might highlight the political figure's involvement or stance on economic inequality or disparities within their constituency. Now, that does make sense. It's important to, the reverse 10 of financial, suggests financial and sport related challenges that may be affecting the political. It also suggests that that might be her particular, focus, or the area that she's passionate about is people with financial hardship. So, interesting card to come up. There's a lot of quite personal potential stuff in that. I don't know too much about Marama Davidson, so something that says financial challenges, lack of community support, erosion of traditional values, family or personal issues, resource mismanagement, and economic disparities, but that could be a focus in terms of getting people out of hardship. But I mean, I think there has been a bit of accusation towards the Greens of resource mismanagement, so that could be part of it. Although this is particularly about the character of her, so it's interesting with the two figures being together as co-leaders and how those two cards interact with each other. One seems a bit more positive, the other potentially a bit more negative. Not to say that cards and tarot are positive or negative as such, but yeah, there is, yeah. It's just interesting to see the balances there that it's pointing out. Okay, so that's the greens. Okay, let's go to New Zealand first. What are we? 46 minutes 10. Okay, 46 minutes 10. So what is the character of New Zealand first, please? The Page of Pentacles. You can meditate on that card for a while yourself. And what is the character, please, of Winston Peters? Interesting. That would suggest practical vision, I would say, with the Page of Pentacles, and someone who's interested in, you know, emotional fulfillment and abundance and family, the family unit, I would think. So let's have a look at this. Pulled a character for the political figure and got the Page of Pentacles upright. Let's see what ChatGPT political party, political party, the Page of Pentacles upright, please interpret. All right, so what it says about New Zealand first. Page of Pentacles in tarot often signifies a youthful and eager approach to practical matters, learning, and new opportunities. When this card appears in a reading for a political party, it can suggest several interpretations. A fresh perspective. The Page of Pentacles suggests that the political party is open to new ideas and approaches, particularly in the realm of policy development and practical solutions to issues. I would say they're quite a practical party. Focus on practicality. There you go. This card indicates the party may be emphasizing practical, tangible results and policies that address the real-world challenges faced by their constituents. If you listen to Winston, he's all about saying, you know, I'd say it is quite a pragmatic approach that their party has. Learning and growth. A kind of no-nonsense approach in a way. Learning and growth. Like a student, the party may be in a phase of learning and acquiring knowledge. They could be studying political trends, gathering data, or seeking input to improve their political platform. Certainly, we've seen a few changes in the way they're going about their advertising campaign, and they've sort of taken on a new way by talking. He was the only person who came out to meet the people in the protests, for example. So he's going through a bit of a revolution in terms of the constituency, because he used to sort of appeal very much to the elderly in the Tauranga seat, and yeah, he's sort of looking at a different constituency at the moment, I think, to get the support to get over the line. Economic or financial incentives. The Page of Pentacles can also symbolize a focus on economic or financial matters. The party might be introducing policies related to job creation, fiscal responsibility, or wealth distribution. Funnily enough, I just saw an interview with Winston Peters today with a couple of students from a university, and he was talking exactly about that kind of thing. Youthful energy and enthusiasm. This card can represent a youthful and enthusiastic energy within the party, which may be appealing to younger voters or those seeking fresh perspectives in politics. Not sure that's exactly how to describe it, but age isn't a factor in having a youthful outlook. He does have a sort of twinkle in his eye, old Winston. So, you know, and some of the other parties do come across as a bit stale and stuffy, whereas Winston's sort of just Winston, and he is like a kid in a candy shop sometimes. So I'd say that could be true to some degree. And you saw Shane Jones doing a karaoke kind of song for his political campaign. Attention to details. The Page of Pentacles suggests a careful and detail-oriented approach. The Page of people's lives. Overall, it implies the party is in a phase of growth, learning, and practical development. They are eager to make positive changes and are focused on tangible results in their political endeavors. I'd say that is pretty true. Okay, but we're looking at political figures also, and we're going to look at Winston Peters himself. Here we go. 10 of Cups. So that was the card I got for Winston. And 10 of Cups in tarot represents emotional fulfillment, harmony, and a sense of happiness within the context of family and emotional relationships. When this card appears in a reading for a political figure, it can suggest several interpretations. 1, popularity and public support. The 10 of Cups suggests that the political figure enjoys significant popularity and positive emotional connections with their constituents. They may have a strong and loyal voter base. Interesting. Achieving political goals. This card can indicate that the political figure has successfully achieved their political objectives, leading to a sense of satisfaction and contentment in their career. It's another thing that Winston was talking about in this interview with these students. He was citing, rolling off all his political achievements that New Zealand First had made during his time in Parliament. But he was also very much talking about how he was part of a caucus, and he's just family that comes here as well, that he's part of a family of New Zealand First. 3, focus on social welfare, very much. So it may imply that the figure prioritizes policies and initiatives that promote the well-being and happiness of their constituents. They could be associated with social welfare programs or community building efforts. I'd suggest that's very true. In fact, I had a friend tell me recently that Winston, when she was younger, saved her dog from being put down by the neighbors. So there you go. Interesting story. A harmonious leadership style. The 10 of Cups suggests that the political figure may have a leadership style characterized by collaboration, unity, and working towards common goals. He's probably the only political figure who's had to work with both sides, Maori Pati has as well, and United Future, but he's worked with different sides of the political spectrum. Sometimes people are still stuck in that whole first past the post thing, where they're still going back to when they were thinking that it was a betrayal of Winston to go with Labour, or a betrayal of Winston to go with the betrayal of the Maori Party to go with National. But that's not what MMP is. It's about parties working together across the political divide and political spectrums, and for the best of humanity. So positive personal relationships. So on a personal level, this could signify the political figure enjoys strong and supportive personal relationships, which can be a source of strength and stability in their political life. a vision of unity. Ten of Cups may also suggest that the political party has figure has a vision of unity and harmony within their jurisdictional constituency, and they are actively working to achieve this vision. That was another thing that I've been seeing Winston talking about in a lot of his interviews, that he is talking about a vision of unity across the divide, and getting rid of that, both the racial divide from his perspective, but also the political divide. It's a centrist party. It's not about left or right. They have some policies that are more centre and some policies that are slightly more right and some that are slightly more left. For example, their GST policy is that they want to take the GST off all food, I believe, similar to Labour, who just want to take it off fruit and vegetables. So you could say that's more of a left-wing policy, whereas their crime and social justice might be a bit more right-wing, or financial, for example. In essence, the Ten of Cups represents emotional well-being, contentment, and harmonious relationships. When applied to a political figure, it implies that they have a positive and fulfilling presence in their political sphere and may be known for their efforts to bring happiness and unity to their constituents. He does work hard for his constituents, I believe, and he's obviously deserved his place in Parliament. He's an old campaigner, and there's a sense of, contentment there, and satisfaction, emotional satisfaction. And who knows, this may be his last rodeo, as he says in his ad. But be interesting to see if he's back in Parliament again. I know they're hovering around the 5% mark. All right. We're probably just going to look at, I'll look at the Maori Party now. This might be the last one. And then after that, I might do a separate video about parties that are not in government. If there's any particular parties you would like me to look at, e.g., we've got New Zealand Loyal Party, we've got the Democracy Now Party, Freedoms and Rights Coalitions, we've got TOP, we've got New Zeal. I think there's a party called New Zeal. The Conservatives, the Leighton Baker Party. So there's a few other parties out there. If you'd like me to have a look at the character of those parties and the leaders, please comment in the comments below. And I will endeavour to do that over the coming weeks. Here we go. This is the character of the Maori Party. Character of the Maori Party, please. Oops, the King of Wands in reverse. The King of Wands in reverse for the Maori Party. It's in reverse. So, and what is the character, please, of... Now, I think there's co-leaders for the Maori Party as well. So let's have a look at that. Who are the co-leaders of the Maori Party? Ngarewa Peka and Rawiri Waititi. Okay, so let's have a card for the character of Debbie, I've forgotten the last name, Ngarewa Peka, co-leader of the Maori Party, please. Debbie Ngarewa Peka. Page of Cups in reverse, and the character of Rawiri Waititi. Rawiri Waititi, please. The character of Rawiri Waititi, please. Interesting. The Eight of Swords upright. All right. Political party. And got the King of Wands in reverse. Please interpret. Okay, so here we go. The character of the Maori party. The King of Wands, when upright in tarot, typically represents qualities like charisma, inspiration, and strong leadership. However, when reversed and applied to a political party, it can carry different interpretations. Lack of leadership. The King of Wands reversed may indicate that the political party is currently struggling with a lack of strong and charismatic leadership. There could be internal conflicts or a sense of disorganization within the party. 2, overbearing or reckless leadership. In some cases, this card's reversal might suggest that the party's leadership is overly dominant or inclined towards impulsiveness. They may be pushing forward with their agenda without considering the consequences. 3, loss of enthusiasm. The reversed King of Wands can symbolize a decline in the party's enthusiasm, energy, or passion for their political goals and initiatives. They might be experiencing a loss of motivation. 4, creative blockages. This card reversal could point to creative blockages within the party, hindering their ability to come up with innovative ideas and solutions to address political challenges. 5, power struggles. It might indicate ongoing power struggles or conflict within the party's leadership, which could be impeding their progress or unity. Reversed King of Wands overall suggests a need for the party to address issues related to leadership, motivation, and creativity. Interesting. So, overbearing or reckless leadership, lack of leadership, loss of enthusiasm, creative blockages, and power struggles potential within the Maori party, according to this tarot reading. I'm not going to comment much on that. I like some of the Maori party's policies myself. GST off food is a good one. Universal student allowance, I believe, was another one. Or double the student allowance, I think it possibly was. Free public transport, I think they were looking at. They have some good policies around environment, I think, potentially, or healthcare, or taxes, even fiscal policy, which I quite like. Some of their policies I find a little bit impulsive, should I say, as it suggests here. For example, remunerating teachers based on how well they speak Maori is one of their policies, and getting the curriculum to have 50% Maori language, I think it is, or 50% of the curriculum to have te reo in it, as part of by 2030 or 2040, I think it was, possibly 2030, seem a little one-sided policies. I'm all for the integration of te reo. I like the Maori language, but yeah, and I'm Maori myself, actually, but there is a degree to which I think when it's at times, from my perspective, that Maori, if they're just given, seen as victims, which to some extent they have been victimized, and that there is a lot of truth in that. But if they're just seen as victims, then there's a sense toward where that's disempowering and patronizing to some degree. Maori need to get themselves out by developing their own core strengths and finding their place in the world, rather than just being given handouts or treated differently because of their ethnicity. That's one perspective anyway. All right, so let's have a look. But like I say, I like a lot of the Maori Party's policies, but some of them I find very extreme on the other end of the spectrum. So it's just my 2 cents. Right, looking at the leaders, character of a political figure, and I got the page of cups reversed. Please interpret. A Maori Party leader, which I've forgotten her name, sorry, at this point, Debbie Ngarewa. That's it, Debbie Ngarewa. Okay, the Page of Cups, when upright in tarot and it's in reverse, often represents qualities such as excuse me, youthful enthusiasm, creativity, and emotional exploration. However, when reversed and applied to a political figure, it may suggest different interpretations. 1. Emotional restraint. The Page of Cups reverse could indicate that the political figure is currently exhibiting emotional restraint or is not expressing their feelings openly. They may be keeping their emotions in check, especially in a public or political context. 2. Lack of creativity. The card reversal may suggest a temporary or prolonged period where the figure is struggling with a lack of creative or innovative ideas in their political endeavors. They might be facing challenges in finding new solutions or approaches. 3. Emotional imbalances. It could signify emotional imbalances or sensitivity issues within the figure's personal or political life, potentially affecting their decision-making abilities. 4. Suppressed intuition. The reversal might point to a situation where they're not fully in touch with their intuition or is ignoring their inner guidance when making political decisions. 5. Miscommunication. In some cases, the Page of Cups reversed can imply miscommunication or a misunderstanding between the political figure and their constituents or colleagues. There may be challenges in conveying or receiving emotional messages effectively. It's important to consider the specific context surrounding the figure. Tarot readings are highly influential. It's just a disclaimer from ChatGPT there, by individual intuition. Okay, so that's ChatGPT's interpretation. Debbie Ngarewa, emotional restraint, lack of creativity, emotional imbalances, suppressed intuition, miscommunication. I don't know too much about her. That is similar in some ways to aspects of the King of Wands there. So, and if you look at the other Māori Party leader, it's got someone tied up, blindfolded, walking through some swords. So that suggests a bit of restraint going on as well, potentially. So I don't know if that's because they're tied to the Labour government, and therefore they're getting sort of swallowed up by them, potentially. I know that the Māori Party have stated as one of their policies that they are not keen for vaccine mandates in a pandemic situation, or they want to remove all vaccine mandates. So that's interesting, I thought. Remember, Labour had over 50% and were able to pass those mandates unchecked, whether or not the other political parties agree with them. I know there was one leader who was in the Māori Party leader, past Māori Party leader, I think, that was in the River of Freedom movie he was talking about, who was played quite an interesting role. She went down to the protesters in the River of Freedom Party, but she wasn't associated with the Māori Party at the time. She was a previous Māori Party leader, perhaps, or it might have been her. I don't know. Maybe she's not in Parliament. I'm not sure who the ones in Parliament are. But anyway, I think it was Marama somebody, though. Not Marama Davison, but I don't know there. Anyway, let's have a look at Rawiri Waititi. Finally, got the Eight of Swords upright. So the Eight of Swords upright. So the character of Rawiri Waititi. The Eight of Swords in tarot represents a sense of being trapped, limited, or constrained, both mentally and physically. When this card appears in a reading for a political figure, it can suggest several interpretations. Feeling restricted. The Eight of Swords may indicate that the political figure is currently feeling restricted in their actions or decision-making. They might be facing obstacles that limit their ability to implement their policies or their agenda. Certainly when they've only got a small amount of MPs in Parliament, that is true. They have to make concessions to these bigger parties. Lack of freedom. It could signify a situation where the figure perceives themselves as having limited freedom to express their views or take certain actions due to political constraints or opposition. 3, difficulty making decisions. This card can also suggest a hesitancy or difficulty in making important decisions. The figure might feel overwhelmed by the complexity of political issues or the consequences of their choices. 4, seeking a way out. On a positive note, the Eight of Swords can represent a desire to break free from these limitations. The political figure may be actively seeking solutions to overcome obstacles and regain their agency. Certainly, this would be the appropriate time around the time of an election where they can choose whether they align with one of those bigger parties further down the track. And certainly it looks at this stage that they would be in opposition potentially, or in coalition potentially with the Labour government, who would not have a number of seats in Parliament. They certainly wouldn't have a majority where they can govern alone. 5, perception of entrapment. It's important to note that the sense of being trapped may be more psychological than actual. The figure might feel constrained by their own beliefs, fears, or self-imposed limitations. Overall, it suggests a situation where the political figure feels restricted or limited in some way. To provide a more precise interpretation, it's crucial to consider the specific circumstances and challenges faced by the individual in question. So very interesting, because all the cards in the Māori Party came out that way, both the leaders, even though they were 2 completely different cards. One was upside down, one the right way up, and also the one for the party suggested the same thing, restricted in their emotions and passions, restricted in being able to express their creativity. So that was very interesting, I thought. Do I do top now, or should I wait and do top with the smaller parties? I think we're going to leave it there. We're just going to look at the parties that are in government at the moment. In another podcast, I will look, if like, at some of the parties that are not in government, the character of the parties and the character of the leaders. I like to think that this provides an interesting and objective insight. It's something that you wouldn't get, for example, on mainstream media, and it gives an objective view that's not from me, it's not from any political bias. It's just pulling cards, which, if you're spiritual at all, is a sense that those cards are, I intuitively pull the cards so they come from the field, the quantum field, if you like, and then using an objective approach with ChatGPT to interpret the cards. Of course, ChatGPT might have its limitations, but I've found those interpretations actually very good. And I'd like to, I've been using ChatGPT for some tarot readings lately and found it very useful, actually, in having an very unbiased, objective perspective on these political parties and what the character and nature of them are. Obviously, there's positives and negatives to all of them. You saw different sides of the spectrum. There's no right or left. It's some of the left parties had more positive readings, whereas some of the other parties might have been facing more challenges in this situation. I have certain biases, I guess, and that those readings certainly didn't reflect my biases. I mean, some of the things I feel are definitely right, but I like to think I can be quite objective because I have voted for parties on different sides of the political spectrum before, but and I'm more about the whole bird than left or right. I tend to vote for minor parties, some even that have not made it into government. So there you go. That's me. I do tarot readings myself. If you're interested in having one, you can go to my Jivana Quantum and Holistic Consultation page on Facebook and message me there. Please like, share, and subscribe to this video. I think this gives a very objective approach to choosing your political things that might that other interviews may or may not reveal. So I think it was very interesting for me to do it. I hope you found it enjoyable. If you did, like I say, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back.